Hello my beautiful creatives and welcome back to my channel. So I've recently started doing bullet journaling. I believe I started doing it in a small moleskine, like a travel moleskine that I could take with me that was really kind of thin. And I had been watching BUJO, who is an amazing YouTuber. I love her channel so much. She does bullet journaling and her bullet journal is like immaculate. It's beautiful. She's got gorgeous handwriting. She just really inspired me to try to figure out how to make a bullet journal work for myself. I've always been a planner girl, but I've always used like a Franklin Covey planner or a day timer or one of those types of planners, and I didn't think I could work without the confines of like pre-set up calendars and daily, templates that automatically come with the system. So I decided to give it a whirligig. I got myself a Leuchtturm 1917, which is actually what this is. This is a purple one. I've put my own creative cover on it. I'm using one of my own painted canvases, which I love. And then I thought, okay, well, it has to be a little bit creative because of who I am and how my brain thinks. So I decided that I would add extra paper to the beginning and the end of my Leuchtturm, and I would basically create like a fold out vision board. This vision board is my personal vision board for what I want to manifest in my life. And then I have like my personal vision board translation, and this is basically how I describe the woman who has this life. Like in her alone time, she does what? With her sweetie, she does what? With her soul sister, she does what? In her home, she does what? And as a general rule. And then I end with saying she is really and truly happy. Because that ultimately is my desires, to be really and truly happy. So I have that and I thought, oh, that'd be great. Worked out really, really well. And then of course, because I also have a business, that I'm dedicated to growing. And I decided to put in the back of my Leuchtturm 1917 another piece of paper to expand that one out as well, where I can do a business vision board with the same kind of my business vision board translation. Basically has like, she does what she does because why, she does this by how, more specifically she what, she gets the message out by how, and then what is her mission. And I talk about myself in third party because sometimes I have to disassociate the vision of who I want to be from the vision that my negative self tells me who I am. So I talk about myself in third person in those little translations because then I can then create a new picture for myself. So that's what that's all about. So I thought, okay, that's really cool. And I use those in my morning routines every morning, both of those. And then I started doing like the regular bullet journaling. And a lot of my ideas came from a lot of YouTubers. I watched a lot of different YouTube videos, but my biggest inspiration was BUJO. And so I did like the index, and I didn't keep it very long, but I did try to do the index, and I did like a year at a glance. I used the Diane Rivoli stamps to do these, and then I used a really, really light ink to do it, and then I just wrote over the top of it with my Tombow markers. I added my own like imagery from a journal that I had cut up. I found at a used bookstore, and I put that in there. I did a little bit of washi tape because who I am naturally is a very feely, touchy-feely, creative person. So I need my journal to reflect that. However, all of the examples I saw were like very like linear and lots of white space. So I tried doing that. I have a video and blog post index, which obviously I don't use. I have a future events, which I don't really use too much. I did like the things that you were kind of expected to do in a bullet journal. Like I did a personal mind map with goals and like bill tracker. This is called this is a vertical Dutch door. I think that's what it's called, which I thought was so cool. But ultimately I ended up giving up on it. But I have a business mind map with my social media tracker. obviously didn't keep up with that. I did do a lot of doodling. I decided that at the beginning of each month, I would do like a spread dedicated to just focusing on, you know, that month. So I practiced a bunch of mandalas, and I went to Bohoberry, and that's where I learned how to do, like set up the little template to do the mandala. And so that has been really fun. I like doing that a lot. But long story short, I started in April doing it in here. And on April 10th, I literally fell off the face of the planet. Like, I didn't do anything in here anymore. And I was like, this is crazy. I've got so much I've got to plan in my life. I've got so much going on. I really need to keep myself organized. This isn't working for me. And I decided that I needed to make a change. Now, even the moon mandala was really, really awesome. I did this in my Moleskine, and I got the whole thing done, and I was so proud of it. The thing that really bothered me about this moon mandala is that I was really honest with how I was feeling every single day. And I'm working on a project at work right now that was really super pressure-filled, intense, like stressful. So that's what yellow was stressed. And I had so much yellow in my moon mandala that even just my moon mandala itself, all by itself, turned out to be really super stressful. So I had to kind of like, I walked away from it, really is what happened. And I thought, I've got to make this bullet journal more creative. Otherwise, I'm never going to want to come back to it because it's too utilitarian. It's too much. I'm conforming too much to what I think that a bullet journal should look like versus what does my bullet journal look like. So I started adding washi. I thought, okay, maybe that would help. No, that really wasn't helping. Obviously, there's still a lot of blank areas. I went to a weekly plan. Really wasn't using it very much. I still kept track of my dailies, and I also did a lot of like brain dumping or like notes to myself. I've always done that in my journaling process, not necessarily in my planning process, but in my journaling process. Again, adding more washi, but I still wasn't using it terribly religiously. I was writing things down and walking away from them, which meant nothing was getting done. And I had big swaths of blank pages, which really, really bothered me. And I thought, this was the week that I decided if I don't do something to make this more me, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do it. It takes a lot of time. I don't have time to do this kind of stuff. You know, you see all of these gorgeous bullet journals on YouTube, and they're so beautiful, and they have so much going on in them, but I just don't have time to do it. I don't have time, and I don't have the mental energy. At the end of the day, I'm really tired. I don't want to do a lot of stuff that's going to make my brain hurt. So I decided that I had to figure out a way to make this mine. Now, I did a couple of things. I started adding color, and I tried to keep it very, very easy on myself. I took all the pressure away. It didn't have to be pretty, although if it was pretty, it was awesome. But I also knew that each page was going to be kind of like a test. And I could basically just play and see what happens with whatever medium I'm using. And if I hated it, all I'd have to do is wait a couple days. I'd be able to turn the page. I would never have to look at this page ever again. So I started out by adding some distress stains, which I use that a lot. If you've watched my soul book videos, you know I use those a lot. And I did that again. And I started to come back to it because it started to become like a really fun thing to do. I wanted to add a few pictures in the corner. I did some washi tape. I just wanted to keep like adding my own spin on what I wanted my bullet journal to look like. I try to do a weekend review, which really works when I do it. I don't do it very often, but. And then I thought these distress stains are really cool, but I only have like a very limited number of distress stains. What if I tried watercolors? Now, I'm not a watercolor artist. I never have been. At least when I started this, I was not a watercolor artist. And I just wanted to figure out a way to have more color come into my bullet journal without causing any stress or anxiety. I also didn't want anything that would bleed through the paper because, you know, ghosting is okay, but I didn't want it to actually bleed through the paper. Just because I wanted to stick with that idea. Like if I hated this spread, I could turn the page and I wouldn't have to see it any longer. So I really needed to make sure that whatever I used didn't bleed through my paper. So I did a little, this was my test page, and I took 2 watercolors and I did kind of like a funky border and added some washi tape to it. And that worked out really well, did not bleed at all. So I thought, oh, I'm on it. So this page here is kind of the moment that I like, I took the fear out of doing bullet journaling. I took the fear and I took the rules that I had created for myself, those rules that we all create. I took those all and threw them out the window. Now, I also really hate my handwriting, and one of the things I really adore about Boho Berry's bullet journal is that her handwriting is immaculate. It's so beautiful. I don't have time to do beautiful handwriting. I feel like I need to just get whatever's in my brain out of my brain as fast as I can so I don't forget it. So I found this washi tape. I totally cheated. I found this washi tape. On Etsy, and it's basically the days of the week. So all I do is, it doesn't start at, when you get it in the mail, it doesn't start at Monday. It starts at whatever random day it happens to fall on. So I pulled all the tape out until I got to Monday, and then I just started with Monday, did my planning, then Tuesday, and I just use this every single day. Like every day I just pull another day of the week off, stick it down, and then I just start going. This little time tracker here, this is totally a Boho Berry steal. I took this from Boho Berry. Thank you so much, Kara. I love this little idea. You basically write all 24 hours. So you write 1 to 12 and then 1 to 12 again in 2 lines. And then you color code activities that you're doing in your life. So for me, dark blue is sleeping. I work on East Coast time, so I sleep a lot on East Coast time. Like we're to bed at 7:30. I'm up at 4:30. And then green is my working hours. And then I have other colors for any other things I'll be doing during the day. If the hours of the day are blank, then it's pretty much a free-for-all. I can do whatever I want. I try to keep those times productive, but there are also a lot of like reading and television watching time and that kind of stuff that happens during there. And this really worked out well for me. I decided also to start doing some tip-ins. I was watching Allie Brown quite a bit back then too, and still do, by the way. And she does a lot of tip-ins. So does Courtney over at Little Raven Ink. And I really got inspired how they were able to do a lot of travel journal and whatnot very creatively. So I started doing tip-ins. And I've talked about this in the past. I collect a lot of photographs. I love imagery. I'm trying to incorporate more of my own photographs, which I don't really have a lot of at the moment, but I'm working on that. I'm working on really trying to document my life. So I have a lot of photographs that I've printed off using an app called Free Prints, and basically they give you so many free prints a month, and all you have to do is pay for the shipping, and they will send them all to your door, which is excellent. So I took a Project Life card, which I actually never finished the back side of it. It's still like the suggestion where it should go in the Project Life notebook. And I put that down with some washi tape. I just tipped it in. I took one of my images and cut it out. It's basically a woman's back carrying some flowers, and I journaled around it in a white pen. And all of a sudden, when this page was done, I felt like, yes, this is what I have been looking for. This is the planner that I need to be using. So I just kind of went a little bit crazy and just kept playing. Now, this was the day that I actually got to North Carolina. So this was my one and only creative outlet while I was there. I had no other art with me. I did have art supplies with me, a very small amount, because I knew that my space was very limited. So I just kind of went crazy, and I have like tip-ins that I've just added imagery to and stickers. And I kind of did a combination of like bullet journaling and journaling and tracking things that happened in my day. This was a dinner place that me and one of my coworkers went to. It was a fondue place. So much fun. I had such a great time hanging out with, he's one of my new coworkers I got to get to know a little bit better. I also discovered I had like 5 Tombow pens with me, and I really have never used them before, but Boho Berry used them for her coloring of her time hour tracker thing. So I had picked up a few just because I wanted to be, I just wanted to have them in my stash. If they were good enough for Boho Berry, they're good enough for me. So I did some drawing with them, and because at this time I'm traveling with watercolors, I had taken some water and just kind of like tested to see like, will these even move? Well, they move so beautifully that I didn't know how I'd ever live without Tombow markers in my kit anymore. But I just absolutely fell in love with this process. Every single night before I go to bed, I try to prep the next spread all the colors on the background. And then and I just set it aside so that it can just dry, which if you watch me at all, you know I'm the most impatient artist ever. Like, I'm sure that there's something wrong with my brain that I just hate waiting. But there's something very like peaceful about getting all of the water down and having like this wet, mushy kind of page, and like setting it off to the side just to let it dry naturally, and then coming back to it in the morning and looking at it brand new and fresh, because when watercolors dry, they kind of dry a little bit differently than what they look like wet. They're a little bit softer, they're a little bit more muted, they kind of flow a little bit differently as time goes on. And I don't know, it's becoming kind of like a meditative process that every evening I put the color down and get that all set up. Then the next morning I wake up really early so that I can do all of my writing, any of my planning that needs to happen. That all gets done before my workday starts. I still try to tip in things that happen. Like this day I had a pedicure with a couple of my coworkers, which was a lot of fun. I still try to put something down in the corner that inspires me or makes me happy, just makes me smile. I'm really honest in here, so I'm so blinking tired. I can't wait to get home. I was so ready to come home at this point. More of my Tombow markers. And depending on how much time I have, that's kind of how you can kind of tell how much time I have just by how much I do decorating over here. Like, this is quite a few layers of papers and a photo and some stickers and drawing and doodling. My month layout, which I actually hate this. It's really kind of messy to my poor brain, but it was fun to play, so I really like that. This is kind of where I started to get very meditative with my watercoloring. I have my watercoloring pretty much consists of Prima watercolor palettes and the Jane Davenport watercolor palettes, which, side note, I took all of them and dumped them all out, and I made myself my own color chart so I could put them in the order that I wanted them to be in. And a lot of the Jane Davenports were actually duplicates of the Prima, in my opinion. So I was a little disappointed by that, but this little watercolor palette has been like with me 24/7. I keep this entire kit in my purse every day, so it's just always with me. And this became like just kind of watching colors flow and trying to figure out how they kind of blend together. This was notes I took off of a YouTube video that I watched that really motivated me. This was just my Saturday and Sunday. I generally don't plan Saturday and Sunday so much. I just generally do like a recap journaling, and I do that in the evening. So I think at this point I've kind of found my stride. I added my own little doodly girl there. Sometimes I will play at hand lettering with my Tombows and then do a quote over the top of it. I'm not very good at hand lettering, but I am so intrigued by people who can, so I want to keep trying. I did some rub-ons this day. I'm just trying to use up my stash, and I've got a lot of stuff. So like some days you see I don't really have a lot of time, so I don't have any like actual imagery there, but I really like the background. I still do a lot of circles. Circles are kind of my thing. This was my weekly for this week. Again, I had a very busy week, which is why there's no real imagery. Sometimes I'll just take thoughts. I have a page-a-day calendar that you tear a page a day on my desk at work, and it's from You Are a Badass, the book, which I absolutely love. So sometimes I'll take those and cut those out and put those down. This I still need to tip in. This was from yesterday. I wrote some ideas on how I can have a level 10 day, and then I did a little bit of journaling, and then here's my Friday schedule, like my to-do list, and then a little bit of journaling of what I did that night, because last night I was at a place called Runaway Art and Craft Studio in Salem, Oregon with some of my girlfriends, and we were just playing in our craft stuff. So while I was there, I got this weekend spread ready, and this is actually today. I did do some planning today because I really want to have a stress-free Sunday, a Sunday that I can give myself permission to read all day without any sense of guilt. So I did plan that out. I have some meal prep ideas over here, a grocery list for the grocery store, and then I did like a little layering collage of this girl. It's just a vintage photo that I found online. I just printed it out on regular printer paper, so there's nothing fancy about it at all. And then I just doodled her in and did some like little marks around her and kind of just zhuzhed her up a little bit, made her very Chrissified. So that is my daily process at the moment. I'm trying to get the Brave Girl panties pulled up and in place so that I can actually, like, I would like to take a week and just do this with you every day to show you like exactly how I do it, because it's super easy and I think that anyone can do it, and I think there should be really no fear about doing it. But for some reason when I was watching how to do it originally, I was so terrified. Like, I just thought it would be so hard, and it really is not. There's nothing scientific or difficult about what I do at all. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you got some good ideas about it. I will keep you posted. I know there'll be more on this to come because I absolutely adore this process. And right now for me, this process has become such a meditative, spiritual, reconnecting with myself and the universe practice that I don't know how I will ever like survive without it. That sounds very melodramatic, but that's my truth. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you like this kind of video. I know that I have a lot of different kind of videos coming out nowadays. So if you like this kind, please thumbs up, let me know, and I will be happy to share more with you. And until next time, bye for now.